Good evening, everyone. How are you? I hope you're all doing great. And today is 21st. Tomorrow will be your result day. As NTA has already announced that your result is going to be declared on 22nd of July. So I know you all are eagerly waiting, and everybody is eagerly waiting for that because everybody has experience about the exam, how it was. So let's hope what's going to happen. Little bit everyone has an idea, but still I'm hoping that everything should go well. So welcome to my channel English with Shabnam ma'am, everybody. First of all, the one who have subscribed the channel, I'm extremely grateful and thanking you. But the one who has not subscribed yet and you want to have you have a free extra class for English literature, UGC net, please subscribe the channel and press the bell icon to get the latest post updates and informations. And also for notes and PDFs, you can simply join the Telegram channel. The link is given in bio and description. Thank you so much. So as you can see, today we will discuss the Anglo-Norman period. Everybody, let me remind you that I have already made my schedule, and going to the description, you can check the schedule of December cycle. I have already prepared that. I'm reminding you, Monday to Thursday we will have literature class unit wise. Okay, and also on Friday we will have a linguistic class. It's very important, so that's why I have included this. Our aim is to focus on each concept and terms by going to the class. And on Saturday we will have major terms and concepts. Major terms and concepts that you all know how much questions we get from this. And on Sunday, we will have mock test, PYQs, and MCQs of the class that we have done in the week. Also, if necessary, we will have a live doubt session. Live doubt session. Most of the students clear their doubts on Telegram channel, so you can join there from the link that is given in description and bio. So this is the schedule you all have to follow. See, I just want you to go with by following the proper proper structure. You know how the syllabus is vast and what you have to do. So we have to plan, because if we are not going to plan everything now, everything will be mess, and we want to understand anything, what we are doing, what we are studying, what we are recalling, what should be the aim, how we should go. So this is the structure that I have made, and I hope you have liked this. So according to this you can plan, because you know how important it is to concentrate and focus on each thing, whether it's term, linguistic concepts, or whether it's literature part. Everything combinedly will score you high. So we will do our best. That's why I have created this structure. We will follow this schedule and go. I will share this schedule on Telegram. You can have and prepare you according to your time limit, according to your time availability. So with this, let's start. Today, after having 1, 2, and 3 class we have already done, and a few MCQs practice. Greek period we have done. Roman period we have done, and Anglo section period we have done. Anglo section. And in this, as you can see on the screen, we will do the Anglo-Norman period. Anglo-Norman period, you know, when it started, it was started after Anglo-Saxon. So we will have to study to know how many poets and how many writers were there in this particular period, and after this which period started, we will do follow this accordingly. So let's start the class, but before starting the class, I request you to everybody, we have crossed the 800 subscribers. Thanks to you, thank you so much. But the one who have not subscribed, now do subscribe the channel and press the bell icon so that you can get the latest post updates, and also press the bell icon to get the updates about the free detailed class. I'm providing you the free detailed class, not here and there or making anything like I'm talking here and there. Free PDF, free class available for you. So you can just have to subscribe the channel and join the Telegram for PDFs and notes. So let's start, everyone. Thank you so much once again. So here, as you know that Greek period, Roman period, we have Anglo-Saxon who invaded Britain, and from where the English language, from dialect to English, it is started. And after Anglo-Saxon, you know, Norman age begins with the Norman conquest of England in 1066. After the time period of Anglo-Saxon was 450 to 1066 AD. So 1066 is the time period when Norman conquest started, Norman period started. And just after we will have a medieval period. So Norman conquest of England in 1066 led by William the Conqueror, it marks a significant cultural and linguistic shift in England. So, you know, in history, one after the other, when there is an incident which took place, there is a significant change in each period, and in one after the other incident, we see. So this is what happened Anglo-Saxon period. After Anglo-Saxon period, there are many changes we found in Norman period, and after that we will have a medieval period. So there is a significant change. Okay, so you will get to know. So Anglo-Saxon aristocracy was replaced, and French, that is Anglo-Norman, became the language of the court, literature, and administration. Latin continued to dominate religious and educational writings. In Anglo-Norman period we are talking about right now, Anglo-Norman period. Now I will ask you a little bit questions, and you have to comment if any of you are watching and you want to revise. If I will ask you a question, you must comment so that you can also feel that how much you have memorized and how much you have understood. It will be helpful, it will be fruitful for you. So Anglo-Saxon aristocracy was replaced, and French Anglo-Norman became the language of the court, literature, and administration, and Latin continued to dominate religious and educational writings. The language Latin continued to dominate, that means it was prevailed in Anglo-Saxon, and till a Norman age this language was continued, but the dominant of the language, French language, was also there in Norman age. So also French, that was the Anglo-Norman dialect, became the language of the ruling class, and Latin remained dominant in the church and education, while English survived among the common people. So no, you know how language has been divided in this period. Latin remained dominant in the church and education only. English survived, the one that have been started from the Anglo-Saxon. Now it has become the language of common people only. And you can see here that French language was dominating the ruling class of the Anglo-Norman age. So there are three languages you must remember. French was the dominating and the language of ruling people, ruling class. Latin remained only limited to the church and education, while English survived from the Anglo-Saxon, was limited to the common people only. So this was the change we can see, and experienced in Norman age. Okay. Then we have English went underground for a time as a literary language here, while French literary forms, genres, romance, hagiography, and didactic poetry flourished in aristocratic circles. Everything was written but in French and it was flourished. English went underground. That means the domination of English and the language of English was somehow vanishing. So this is what how you can understand. Verse, romance, religious legends, and moral tales became dominant poetic forms in French of Anglo-Norman age. After that, that is why Anglo-Norman age is also known as the Norman age or early Middle English age. After Anglo-Saxon, we can have the age of Norman people. What are the key literary features of Anglo-Norman? So here the features you must remember. Literature was mostly written in Anglo-Norman, French and Latin. English was no there. Focus on chivalry, courtly love and Christian morality. Emergence of chronicle poetry, religious instructions and early romances was there. And also here, English began to reappear toward the end of the period, especially in layman's brut. And that means when the people started writing, because as you just understood that Anglo-Norman French and Latin was dominating the ruling class and the people who have already started writing, their focus was only writing in French and Latin. But here, when the English language, the concentration was not on English language, but the work that Lehman wrote, the language that he has wrote, English started reappearing. Once the language was vanished, diminishing, but now from the work brought, layman's brought, this is the work, it started gaining its popularity again. So it was reappearing in the age of Norman period. And then what are the themes that majorly Norman people used to write on? Here, theme most mostly you will find chivalric romance. That one you have heroic deeds, quest, honor, often set in Arthurian world. Hagiography you will have lives of saints, martyrs, miracles, and devotion. Courtly love you will find nobility of love, unrequited or refined passion. Religious instruction you will have moral didactic tales to promote Christian values. And feudal loyalty to king or lord, central to knightly narratives. I told you that everything I have mentioned in the PDF, what are the key features, what are the themes of the particular age. So you can memorize the theme of the particular age. It will help you to get the knowledge about the particular writer who belongs to the age. You will easily identify that this was the age, this theme was prevailing at that time, and the writer who were belong to the age may be using the particular theme. So this will help you. You have to remember. Now, what were the poetic techniques and forms that people used here? See, techniques and features and description. Octosyllabic couplets, that is 8-syllable rhyming couplets influenced by French narrative poetry. Alliteration from Anglo-Saxon, this was extensively used, continued from Anglo-Saxon tradition, especially in religious works. In Norman age, you will find alliteration, use of alliteration in the same period. Verse romance, you will have extended narrative poetry focused on heroic exploits. And allegory, symbolic storytelling to teach moral lessons. And hagiographic style, idealized, miraculous, and depictions of saints. So these were the poetic techniques and forms that most of the writers used in Anglo-Norman age. Now, let's discuss about the poets who were the dominating Anglo-Norman with their work. So first one we have Base. I forgot. Base, an Anglo-Norman poet, is best known for two major works you have to remember actually. Brut, written around 1155, and a verse chronicle of the history of Britain. Brut is a verse chronicle of the history of Britain that introduced the legend of King Arthur, remember, and the round table into English. There are many questions I have found in PYQs. They ask about the round table. So you can remember. And the Roman de Rome around 1170, which recounts the history of the Dukes of Normandy. These two works you must remember. Brut around 1155 and the Roman de Rome around 1170. These two works written by Wace, Anglo-Norman poet. These are the two major works by him. Next one you have everybody, Layman. Layman also spelled, here you can see, writing in early Middle English around 1205, produced his version of Brut as well. Brut that was written by Wace, you just saw. It was reproduced, or you can have a version by Layman also. So Layman's Brut, that is why it was written Layman's Brut. Then in which English reappeared. So this was the version of Wace. His adaptation is significant because it was the first major literary work written in English after the Norman conquest and was composed in an alliterative style that echoed Old English poetic traditions. So now you know how English started getting back its popularity, its place. It was layman's brute. Why it is saying layman's brute? You have to speak like this because there is also already a work written by Wace. So you can memorize like this, Wace brute. And now we have layman's brute. It is a version, adaptation, layman's brute. And in which the language English started regaining its place, it was a layman's brute. Okay, so you must remember. Now we have everybody, Marie de France, writing in Anglo-Norman French in the late 12th century, around 1170, is renowned for her lays, a series of short narrative poems rooted in courtly love, magic, and Arthurian themes. She also authored fables and saints' lives circa 1180, which reflect didactic and devotional concern. She holds the distinction of being the first named woman poet in the Anglo-Norman literary tradition. So what are the points that you have to remember? The writer you have, the poet you have, Marie de France. Anglo-Norman French, she used to wrote in the late 12th century, around 1170, renowned for her work Lace. It was a series of short narrative poems that is rooted in or based on the theme of courtly love, magic, and Arthurian themes. She also authored Fables and Saints' Lives, the work we have circa 1180, which reflect didactic and devotional concerns. She holds the distinction of being the first named woman poet in the Anglo-Norman literary tradition. First named, she holds the distinction of being the first named woman poet in the age of Anglo-Norman literary tradition, first woman poet. So this thing you have to remember by highlighting the main points, key points. Now we have Orm. Here it is also known as Ormin, was a 12th century English monk who wrote the Ormulum around 1150. Orm is the name of the poet, also known as Ormin, written the work around 10th century. It was an English monk, and the work he wrote, the Ormulum, around 1150. This is a religious poem written in early Middle English, noted for its systematic phonetic spelling and strict metrical scheme intended to help with pronunciation and reading aloud. Must remember Orm, also known as Ormin, the work he wrote, the Ormulum, In 1150, he was an English monk, and Ormulam is a religious poem written in early Middle English. Early Middle English, we will enter the Chaucer age, and it was noted for its systematic phonetic spelling. Phonetic spelling, you must remember the work is Orlo. And also the strict metrical scheme intended to help with pronunciation and reading aloud. So this is the key point you must remember about the particular. Now we have Thomas of Britain. Thomas of Britain, also known as Thomas of England. Thomas of Britain is very important. Also known as Thomas of England, 12th century Anglo-Norman poet, writing in Old French. He is best known for his influential romance poem Tristan. This is PYQ. They ask questions, okay? So it was composed around 1170, and this work is one of the earliest known versions of the Tristan and Isolde legend and stands as a key text in the development of Arthurian Romance literature in Western Europe. Thomas of Britain, also you can call him Thomas of England, who was known as 12th century Anglo-Norman poet he was. He used to write on in Old French, best known for his influential romance poem Tristan. It was composed around 1170, and this work is one of the earliest known versions of the Tristan and Isolde legend. You were saying that ma'am makes so many khichdi paka dena, you know. I just want to highlight the key points so that I'm teaching here, and if I will just keep speaking, how you will get to know that what I'm saying, what I'm speaking. So to get you more clearer, I just need to highlight the key points now. So here 1170, this work was written, composed around. This work is one of the earliest known version of the Tristan and legend that was based on Isolde and stands as a key text in the development of Arthurian Romance literature in Western Europe. Remember? Okay, let's move on to the next. There are more to know. So Thomas Tristan was likely written after Beroul's version, but it differs in tone and style. While Beroul's Tristan, there are two works, the way Base Brute and Layman's Brute, same way. You have to remember there is a Beroul's version too of the same work, Tristan. So always remember, if in the question if they will mention the version name, you must familiarize with the and get to the correct point, correct option. So Beroul's version, but it differs in tone and style. The way Thomas of Britain wrote, it was different from Beroul's version. So while Beroul's Tristan leans toward the adventurous and heroic, Thomas' version is more refined, courtly, and psychological, focusing on inner emotion, loyalty, and tragic love, hallmarks of the courtly love and tradition. Understand now? There are the name is the same, but the two writers who have wrote the work, so it is known as the Beroul's version. It is the name of the poet, and the version that is the work Tristan, written by the same different writer with the same name. So you have to remember like this. Also, his work had a significant influence on later European literature, particularly the German poet Gottfried von Strasbourg, who used Thomas Tristan as the basis for his own version of the tale. Sadly, Thomas' original Tristan survives only in fragments, but its literary importance remains undisputed. Now you know that how many writers have created the version of the work Tristan. But the original is original. Thomas' original distance survives only in fragments, but still its importance remains undisputed. That is why it is said that originality cannot be replaced. It's a thing actually. Now we have the anonymous writers who used to write in this age. I have included everything so that my viewers should not go anywhere and they do not need to. I'm actually taking so much time to prepare notes for my viewers, my students. And if anything is left, if I'm not able to include, if I miss by chance, I will I will ask you to forgive me, but I'm trying my best to provide you free content, everyone. So you just have to subscribe the channel. Okay. So now you have anonymous worker. Especially I care more about the beginners because it was like if you have experienced now, if you have faced the same situation, if you have been through the same situation in your earlier life, the people feel relatable. So there was a time I feel like, what should I do? Who will help me? Whom I ask? Where I should go? How should I prepare myself? How should I get more and more knowledge about everything? So I understood how beginners are worried. So no worries, Shabna ma'am is there for you. You just have to subscribe the channel and share to more and more students. I know you will do. So anonymous works you know now. And also I know there are many students who are already experienced, who have already given many attempts, but still these contents are going to helpful for you. Why? Because there are many things that everyone relates. Money problem, financial issues. They have to struggle with their job, time problem, time management they do not have. So I can understand everything. Okay. And if I go deep down, it is because I just want to clear each point to the beginners, especially. So if any of the students who are watching, who have already given many attempts, who just say that why am I explaining so much? Actually, it is for the beginners, so please don't mind. So anonymous writer, the writer that is unknown. You are not familiar about the writer. So among the works of anonymous clerics, we have Ancrine Vices. It was composed around 1225. Stands out as a religious prose guide meant for female recluses or anchresses. Although written in English, Although this work is written in English, it shows influence from both Latin and French traditions. Another significant anonymous work is The Owl and the Nightingale. Very, very important. This thing is written around 1220, an early example of vernacular English poetry presented as a lively and satirical debate between two allegorical birds. It's very important. They ask you the question that which type of word has been mentioned. So I will make it clear, everybody. So debate between two allegorical words. Lastly, it's the another work you have, Cursor Mundi, dated around 1300. Two works you have to remember from the work Anonymous from the author is an extensive religious poem in Middle English that attempts to narrative biblical and world history. One second. So here you have a So, the work Cursor Mundi, dated around 1300, is an extensive religious poem in Middle English that attempts to narrate biblical and world history in verse form, reflecting the devotional character of the age. So, you have to remember the work The Owl and the Nightingale, 1220, Ancrine Vices, 1225, and the language that the work is written, although it was written in English, but they were influenced in Latin and French, both language. Okay. Now we have additional poets of the Norman age. There are more poets, many poets that I have tried to not to miss. Actually, it was the condition of June exam. I do not want to miss anyone. I just want to help my student no matter what. The situation sometimes become hilarious. The additional poets you have to remember, everybody: Benoit de Saint Maure, work Roman de Troyes, 1160, the work composed. Language, it was Anglo-Norman French. So what was the work? The writer Benoit de Saint-Maur is famous for his romantic narrative about the Trojan War. Important questions. There are many questions based on Trojan War. In his work Roman de Tro, his version of the Trojan legends was widely influential in the 12th century and became a key source for later medieval retellings of the Trojan myth, including Christian de Troyes Arthurian romances. So you have to remember the key point about the writer, that famous for romantic narratives, more majorly wrote about Trojan Wars in his work, majorly Roman de Tro. His version of the Trojan legends was widely influenced in the 12th century and became a key source for later medieval retellings. This work of the Trojan myth. It was including Christian de Troyes that was based on Arthurian romances. Next one you have Christian de Troyes, Eric and Enid, the work, Cleges, Lancelot, the Knight of the Cart, and Parzival. Parzival Vane. 1160 to 1180, the composed it, and it was the language is Old French. Christian de Troyes is one of the greatest early poets of the Arthurian Romance tradition. His works focused on the knighthood, courtly love theme, you can remember. Knighthood, courtly love, and adventure of King Arthur's knights. Christian is credited with shaping the legend of Lancelot and introducing the Grail legend into Western literature. Grail legend into Western literature. So he was one of the greatest early poets of the Arthurian Romance traditions, and his work majorly focused on, or the theme that he wrote based on, knighthood, courtly love, and adventure of the King Arthur's knights. Who? Christian de Troyes. Next one you have Baroldus Benoit de Saint-Maur again. No, it's different. Baroldus de Saint-Maurice, Roman de Rena. There are three work that we have already: Remand de Rena, Remand de Troyes, and Remand de Roman. There was the first one that I have told. It was composed in 1180 around Old French. The language is it. He is known for the satirical and beast fable genre. Benoit de Saint-Maurice wrote works that centered around the character Reynard the fox. Fox, must remember. Beast fable, you know now, the work that is based on the animal. His poetry often parodied courtly societies. His poetry often based on parodizing courtly society, and his work were part of the larger tradition of animal allegories. The tales of Rena were deeply embedded in medieval social commentary. Medieval social commentary, so you can remember these key points. Now we have B. Rowell, the work Les Poems de la Table Ronde. It's table round here. It is written in French language, so you can understand. Wherever one thing common that you will found, wherever there is a work roman day, there is a word day, that you can understand the work is written in French. This common thing I have observed very clearly. So Anglo-Norman French, the language it is written, also based in French language. So B. Rowell is recognized for contributing Romance literature with works such as Les Poems de la Table Ronde, it is round, where Arthurian legends were brought to the French-speaking audience. Though less famous than Christian de Troyes, Rowell's work contributed to the establishment of Arthurian myths in literature. What was the contribution of B. Rowell's? Contribution in the establishment of the Arthurian myths in literature, although he was less famous than Christian de Troyes. So these are the writers of Anglo-Norman, and you can say early medieval, because after Anglo-Norman we will enter into the medieval age, medieval era. Also, these poets helped, the one that you have Maurice, Rowell, and Christian. These poets helped shape the cultural and literary landscape of the Norman age, especially within the realm of romantic epics and courtly love traditions. Their works expanded the scope of narrative poetry, particularly in the Arthurian cycle, and influenced both French and English literary traditions. So these were the major key points, major highlights about all these writers that you must remember, everyone. Actually, I am going slow because I want you everyone to do watch the class repeatedly and memorize or create your own notes. Create your own notes in your own language on the basis of your own understanding. The thing that I keep explaining and keep telling you, so it should be very fruitful if you will do that. So these are the writers of Norman age. One age at one time will be helpful. Okay, so I just want to make the length of the class shorter because I know the videos are not getting so much views. Although I am trying my best and I have already started for December, but maybe the students are waiting for the result eagerly. I know they are worried, so let's wait for that. We have one day only. So after that, we will continue with the class. Anglo-Norman period, you have to prepare a note, and if there is anything error before I will share the PDF, you have to notify me by commenting, or you can also comment or let me know in on the Telegram channel. Okay, so this is all for today, everybody. Do prepare your own notes, keep self study, do self study. It will be very very helpful for you. Do subscribe the channel. It will also be helpful for you actually if you will subscribe the channel. Thank you so much for joining. And if you have any doubts, you can simply let me know. I'm there. So let's end the class. Do subscribe the channel. Take care of yourself and keep your finger crossed for the result that we will have tomorrow. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.